Yeah, let us look at some more endgame rules with some examples. See, centralization is very important, and at this point of time here in this position, what you would think is, oh, white's king should go to the center or at least somewhere near the center. So maybe f4 he should get to, right? Because then he can attack the black pawns, etc. So somewhere like that. So you would think so, but you have to be also in endgame. I told you there are a lot of tactics in endgames and you have to be tactically alert. So while something is strategic, see, centralization is a strategy, okay, and it's a long-term thing. Means maybe 3, 4, 5 moves deep plan, okay, but tactics is something immediate, okay, and you always have to be on guard for tactics, not just for you to win something against your opponent, but also not falling into a trap where your opponent can finish you off, right? So that is what is the illustrated here. So here, if what would you play as white here?
King f3.
Hmm? King to f3. Yeah, king to f3 comes to the mind, but it's a blunder, right? It's a blunder because next move is a stunning move. Black goes knight to g4, and now white is going to get checkmated. Can you prevent checkmate? Rook is coming to f2 and going to deliver a checkmate. The only way to really prevent it is, yeah, you will have to give up your rook and knight. But that is anyway as good as a loss. Yeah, rook to h7 check, king takes h7, knight to f6 check, black knight goes to f6. So that way you can actually prevent it. But that is not real prevention, right? Otherwise, can you see it? It is finished now. White king is finished now. He cannot even come back. He cannot go forward. Whatever he does is finished, right? You can't even just sacrifice the knight to get out of it, because knight to f6 also, rook is coming to f2 checkmate, king to f4 still checkmate, rook to f2 is still checkmate. Yeah, so what, this is just to illustrate it, okay? So you just have to know that these things can happen, so that's why you have to be tactically very alert. All right, so let us go to the next position. How will you evaluate the next position? See, you may think that it is almost similar to the first position that we saw. Only thing is that black also has got a pawn on e6. So it is not that white does not have an outside passed pawn anymore. What is your evaluation of this position? Now you think of, don't give it immediately, think about for 2 minutes and then give what is the evaluation. Yeah, you can type your evaluation on the, or you can say it your way. Let's just type it out. White is better because pawn is on 5th rank, okay? King is centralized.
The black king is trapped and the white king is centralized.
Yes, that is correct. So white king is much more active. Black king is passive position. He can actually cannot even go to a8, right? He is stuck on b7 and he is not able to drive away the white rook also. And white king has got a lot of what do you call it? He can roam around and he can go on attacking. right? Yeah, black's pieces are paralyzed. Black rook also can only move to g7 and g8. If he moves anywhere else, then the g6 pawn is falling. King, if he moves anywhere, then the a6 pawn is falling, right? So black is paralyzed actually, right? Black is paralyzed. So what is the thing is that this is a clear, actually this is a massive advantage for white. Okay, this is a very big advantage for white, and white should be winning this endgame. Okay, even though his not pawns are equal, but still positionally white is winning this, right? So king e5 is a good move. What would black play? What would be black's best bet on king e5? Think about it. What would you play as black? Not just one move, but tell me the move after that also. Two moves you will have to tell me.
So then rook to e8 check and then rook to e3.
Then rook to e3, right? Going to, yeah.
Yeah.
So that is the best bet, yeah. But even then, actually, white will still get the g6 pawn, and he will get the f5 pawn also, and then after that, he will try to get the rook exchanged on g6, and after that, it's a clear win for white, right? That is what will be this one. So yeah, so I think you can also try to play this position against the computer and see what happens. Okay, we are going to move to the next position. This is of a theoretically important position, endgame. Okay, this endgame or this set of endgames where uh, one side has got a rook and a pawn, and the other side is only rook, and the other side is defending. There is a series of endgames that you need to learn. These are of fundamental importance in the rook endgames. This is how you start the rook endgames. So rook plus pawn versus rook. So key position is here. What is white's plan? What should white do now? So let me put this on the this board. Okay. So you have to play this.
Then what about the last position?
Last position, white is clearly better. So it is just a test position for you to play against the computer. It is the ideas all we discussed, right? It is all why white is better. It is very similar to, but with a slight difference from the first position. So try to play it. Okay. Okay. Pawn is on e5. Black king is on e8. Black rook is on b8. White rook is on a7. White king is on f5. White to play. Okay. So there is a concept here which you have to understand it. If black to play, black is able to draw this. Okay, black is able to draw this. We will see this also afterwards, but first let us look at it white.
Isn't this called like the Philidor's back rank or something?
Yeah, this is Philidor's position only, Philidor's. King to f6 is correct. King to f6 is correct. Okay. Now what should black do? Rook to b6, correct? Black's best bet is rook to b6, but now see, it was very important for you to now insert the pawn now, okay, and not earlier. So if king had come to e6, then black rook would have gone to b6, and driven away the black king. But now the white king. But now the white king is not driven away. Now there is no more check, and white is threatening actually a checkmate. Right? White is threatening a checkmate. So what should black do?
Rook b8.
Black only play king to b8.
If black plays rook b8, right, then it is a completely lost. It is. Okay. Then it is lost.
It's lost because of rook h7 and then rook h8.
Yeah, rook h7 and then rook h8. That is correct. Because now what you do, what I am threatening now, I am threatening now to give a check and win the rook. And if you do anything, then I am threatening a checkmate also. So to prevent the checkmate, what you have to do, you have to move the king to d8. Then I give this simply and you move it, I exchange the rooks, and it's a very simple win. Right? So rook to b8 is a complete immediate loss. The only option is king to d8, and then rook to a8 check, king to
King f7.
yeah, king f7 now. And now the pawn is going to go through very easily. You can black's best bet is to go here and give a trying to check the king, but what happens is pawn advances.
The king zigzags and then
Yeah, the king zigzags and then you don't have. So now you'll have to keep checking the king, but you are going to run out of the checks. If you go back behind the pawn, it doesn't help because now it is a queening, right? So you have to keep giving the checks and then you are going to run out of the checks.
after. Oh, okay, never mind.
That's it. Right? So what else? What else here? So rook b6 this. So best bet is king to, not rook to b8, king to d8. But then the rook a8, king to c. Now king to f7. Is there any other move that you can think of? You can think of as king to d6.
The pawn advances, right?
Pawn advances. Then the thing is, black will play this.
Then you can give a check with the rook.
Then you can give a check with the rook. And what should white king do? Black king do now?
He can't block his own rook, nor can he stay close to the pawn. So, and then white plays king g8 or king f8. I mean.
Yeah. Then also king f8.
Or you could play rook.
Rook to f6. Rook to f6. Sorry, rook to e6 check is also there.
Yeah.
So king to d6 does not help. Okay, let us go ahead with our original move only, rook to b1. But after that, white will play. There is no point, right? No point after this. Yeah. Yeah. So I think you got the concept. Let us go back and see what is there. There may be one move that we may have missed. So king to f6 is correct here, not e6. Because e6, rook goes to b1. Okay, starts checking from the back side. Then if king goes to f6, then rook to f1 check. king goes to g7, then the rook to g1 check. If king comes on the other side, then also here, the moment after this, suppose if king goes to c6, then what will happen? Then you will attack the pawn with rook to e8. Sorry, rook to e1. Right? That's the idea. So white king cannot really think. So this is what happens if white king makes a mistake by playing the pawn ahead. Okay. So that is what is the illustration. But you don't have to worry. If king to f6 you had played, then rook to b1. All right, rook to b1, and then you play this. I think what we had missed is we said we only looked at rook to b6, but a better defense for black is rook to b1. But even then, white rook goes to a8, flushes out the king to d7, and then e6 check. Then white king goes to d6, and then white. This is another check white has got. Rook to d8, not e7. Yeah. Here white should not play e7, because if white plays e7, now black king is in a very good position. So now white, all the checks are going to work. Yeah. So that is why when the king is on d6 and when the pawn is there, you give a check, drive the king. Again, this concept is very similar. Okay, the kings are almost in opposition. There is a pawn in between, but white is pushing the black king away from the center of action and then pushing the pawn. So now after this, now no matter checks, they are not going to help because the king is no longer on d6. Yeah. So this is what is the end game about. Is this end game clear? This is Philidor's position and it is very, very important, extremely important. Okay, then we will look at one more position, and this is a demonstration of how to play in the end game. Okay, how a master plays in the end game. So we'll not look at too many variations here, but we'll just see how black. First of all, can you see here who is at an advantage, who is at a disadvantage? Who has got the advantage? It is black to play.
I guess black has the advantage.
Yeah, black has a very clear advantage, right? Bishop is deadly on that diagonal, long diagonal, and it is open, and the rook is already there. So there is a discovered attack first of all right now itself. So a lot of moves are forced now. Black has no option other than playing rook to d1 because his rook is also attacked, bishop is also attacked. Right, so he has no option other than playing the rook from a8, sorry, a1 to d1. Okay, and then black's very good move is rook f to c8, not rook a to c8. So this is something that comes with a lot of actually experience and learning which rook to move. Okay, here if you had played rook a to c8, then it would probably be very difficult for black to win. But rook f to c8, okay, so now threatening the c4 pawn, and it is definitely going to fall. So what white says is, okay, at least let me try to kill your pawn while you try to kill my pawn, right? So, and at this point of time, white takes the pawn, sorry, black takes the pawn, white also takes the pawn, but white has got immediate next threat, which is rook to c2. Now he is threatening the knight and the a pawn. So what happens? The other rook comes.
Knight. You could play knight to c1.
Yeah, you could play knight to c1. You're right. Then what would white do?
Knight
Good,
c3.
knight to c3. Knight c3.
Knight c3, correct. So here, what white gets his other rook onto the thing, and then black takes this pawn. Now white wants to drive away the knight, but here is a tactic. So again, this is at a place where black rides on a tactic, temporary sacrifice of the exchange. But after the rook takes it, again knight goes here, forking the whatever, forking the two rooks. So white goes here. Now knight takes d1, rook takes d1, and now the position is much more clearer. See, when the two rooks are there, it is sometimes, even though you have an advantage, it is very difficult to press the advantage. But what white did is exchanged a pair of rooks, and now his advantage is even more greater. Can you see? Now he has got an outside passed pawn, and his rook is behind the, ideally, as in the ideal position, behind the pawn. Should not be ahead of the pawn. So very simply, a5.
And the bishop promotes the queening square, or protects the queening square.
Yeah, absolutely.
And black's bishop is useless because,
So,
it just can't protect the a1 square.
so, but there are a lot of tactics after this. Huh? So just see here: rook to d2, a5, rook to a2, f4. Sorry, f5. King comes here. Black king comes here also.
Sir, why F5?
Why f5 to gain control over the thing? So not allowing white any counterplay here.
Why does it have a question mark after
See,
exclamation mark?
black also wants to get his king centralized now. So, and he like kills two things in one thing. So f5 will give him a good control over on the king side pawns. At the same time, black king gets a clear path for movement.
Oh, okay.
These are both things you achieve, right? So right now white has to figure out how to exchange the rooks now. Sorry, not exchange the rooks, but exchange the bishops now. Okay. So centralization now. Now what has happened after this?
Bishop
After this,
d4.
yeah, bishop d4 and then bishop c5.
Yeah, bishop d4, and then black plays bishop to e7. So then you take this advantage and play a6. Sorry, a3, and black.
Sir, couldn't white play something else instead of bishop to d2?
Bishop to d2. Okay, what should white play?
Maybe bishop to e7.
Bishop a3 maybe.
Bishop where? a3.
Yeah,
Bishop a3, then black bishop.
Then you play bishop c5.
Yeah.
after bishop to c5, then white can play bishop to c1.
Yeah. But then this one will advance. Pawn will advance. In fact, before the pawn will advance, the black bishop will come to b4 first, so that he does not want
What
the
if
king to come.
white plays bishop f
Sir,
or no,
So there are a lot
bishop
of
e7 or something?
correct. So what you should do is, so that's why we'll see some line, but after that you analyze it yourself, and we'll discuss it next week. So we'll see some lines here. Okay. So what happens is here, but these
but
are
now, no, like in the previous position that we discussed, after bishop to c5, then bishop to c1, then after the pawn advances, can't white just play bishop to b2, because the pawn won't be able to take it, right? The rook is behind.
no, but right now here you are saying, huh? When?
No, like the lines we discussed.
Okay, the lines we discussed. Okay, I think you look at it and come back, and we'll play through it next time. Okay, because
Okay.
I have to set it up on the thing again, Lichess. So I just want to show it here. I want to show some ideas, but these are not the only things. Yes, there are other possibilities. However, there are equally good responses from black side also. So try to discover it, but otherwise we'll discuss it next week. Okay. So, but here let us look at it. So black plays bishop to c1, and now white attacks the bishop. White attacks the bishop. Okay, and so rook will not take the pawn because bishop it does take, but bishop takes the pawn. And now there is a tactical sequence. The bishop gets pinned. If the bishop gets pinned, see, it is a dark squared bishop, rook is on light square. Okay, so it is not easy. Rook cannot go to a8. If rook moves anywhere else, then the bishop will be lost.
What
Okay.
if what if we play king c2 and then king b3?
Yeah, king c2, right? King c2 is possible. So where instead of, okay, you will play, if you play king to c2, you are saying king to c2, then very simply bishop to c5.
Oh no, but then you can play
Yeah, king
king
b3.
b3.
Yeah, but do you notice now after your king has gone to b3, now what? Now what will happen? Rook takes a3 check. So you will exchange the rooks. Rook takes back on a3.
Okay, and then you run. Okay.
Then
Oh yeah.
king is, black's king is in the center, white's king is on the a file, right? So white's king is going to polish off all the pawns on the king side and then win. That's the idea. It is, see, the idea here is that black will not be easily be able to win the bishop, but black will be able to concentrate the force on the a3, force an exchange on a3. White king will be pulled into a3, and then black king will get a free pass to go into the king side. That's the whole point of this endgame. Okay, you can't win it. You can't win the bishop outright, but you can win the game. Okay. Very interesting thing. You play through this. I'm not going to give more. Play through this and come back with your analysis or some more ideas. If you find some defensive moves, write it down. Let us discuss it next week. All right. Very, very interesting. So, okay. So I think with this, what we do is we come to the regular 2 positions for analysis.
What about the 6th one?
6th one is for you to do analyze yourself.
Okay.
Okay. 6th one is a short game fragment from a master game, but you analyze this yourself.
Okay.
Okay. Coming to our 2 positions for analysis. I think we are in the f6 now. Yeah, white to play. First one. White to play.
Queen a7 check.
Yeah, did you find it as queen a7 or did you first look at rook to c7?
No, queen a7.
Queen a7.
Okay. Queen a7 check. King takes a7 forced.
Rook takes f7 check.
Rook takes c7 check. Now king to a8 forced.
Knight takes g6.
Knight takes pawn.
Knight takes b6.
Knight takes b6 is checkmate after that. Yeah. Yeah. I first looked at rook to c7 and tried to make it work, and then as the principle there, right? Sometimes the move you just have to change the order. So I was looking at rook to c7 followed by queen to a7, but then I just changed it queen to a7 and then immediately it is mate. So yeah, good, excellent. What about the next position? White to play.
So f6 check.
Yeah, f6 check. King, you lure the king to f6, and after that
Queen g6 check. Queen by g5.
g5 check. Queen g5 forces the king to go to g7.
h6 check.
Then h6 check.
If king goes to h8,
No matter where the king goes, then you just play.
Then queen f7 check. King g8 and queen g7 checkmate.
checkmate. Yeah, correct. And if king goes to g8, then also queen to f6.
Queen f7 is just forced checkmate.
Yeah, knight e6 is not possible because there is a pawn on d5. Otherwise, knight would have landed on e6, covered the g7 square. But you have a crucial pawn on d5. See, all of this is possible because white has got a pawn on d5. Okay, if that was not the case, then the knight would have prevented it. Okay, so notice that. So, good. Yeah, these I think this week the two positions were quite obvious and easy, but some of them are easy, some of them are not so easy, so that's okay. All right, so with that I think we are completed the thing. Let me stop the record.